Right, you're still watching NTV at 1. I'm Arnold Segawat. Now, very recently, a report came out from the Uganda police and other security operatives showing that cases of defilement during the COVID-19 lockdown are north of 6,000. And most of these were under the age of 18. Staggering figure indeed, and of course it's also baffling the fact that these are the ones who have come forward, or these are the cases that have been reported. I would argue that in response to this, or it was also already in the works, the Ministry of Gender has come up with quite an innovation to counter not only gender-based violence, but also such issues by making it easier to actually report these issues. Joining us today for this particular conversation is the head of ICT at the Ministry of Gender, Emmanuel Yeka. Emmanuel, thanks for making time to speak to us. If you were to explain this particular app to someone who's oblivious to it, very briefly, how would you just sum it up?
Yes, Sevpal is a mobile application accessible on Google Play Store, and it's free. And members of the public can download, especially the younger population, to report cases of gender-based violence. And then in addition to that, they can access information on sexual reproductive health, HIV, TB, and malaria.
The issue around gender-based violence, the literature is quite fascinating because most people are, their understanding of gender-based violence is something that's physical, but I understand that this actually is a broader conversation. It doesn't have to be the physical bit. How far is the ministry going on this particular narrative, just to change all of this from the beginning, you know, just calling names and that kind of thing? Are you tackling this too from the beginning and broadening the idea around gender-based violence?
Yes, indeed, as the Ministry of Gender, we have always been at the forefront of fighting GBV in its many forms. Not just only the physical. We have psychological abuse, denial of services, parents not sending their kids to school, and many other forms. So the ministry already has other avenues that it has been using for helping the young people out there, especially, and women, to report these cases. We already had the Uganda Child Helpline with a toll-free number, 116, where someone can confidentially and securely report those cases. But now the app is also another complementary tool that we're using because young people spend a lot of time on their mobile phones. So with the app, they can be able to still report these cases and also access information.
Right, because I actually spoke to John Mugisha just earlier on today. Very briefly, well, before we wind up, you could just tell me the target and some of the services being offered on the particular app.
Yes, we are mostly targeting adolescents and young people who are the majority of our population. That is between ages 12 to about 45. And yes, these are most affected, especially on cases of GBV. And yes, we have gone live today, as earlier in the morning we had this launched nationally, and we are very hopeful it will go a long way in assuring that we tackle cases of GBV and sexual violence across the country.
Right, App Store and the Google Play Store.
Currently it's available on Google Play Store, but we are still working to ensure it's there on Apple Store. And also another channel of delivery, which is USSD, so that if you have a feature phone, what we call the capabilities, you can also still report cases. So many of these features are coming up, and we shall be sharing it with members of the public.
Emmanuel, thanks for making time to speak to us. That was Emmanuel Yeka, who is the head of ICT at the Ministry of Gender, just giving us the technicalities of that particular new app, Sevpal. Let's take a quick break after this.